Fuck. Welcome back. Good lord. It's the defendant, Miss Gina Lestrade. We are in trouble. As the court can clearly see, the accused is pictured, gun in hand, facing the victim over the shop counter. No doubt coercing the provider to open the door to his storeroom. Quite. One could only too easily imagine the events that unfolded. The court will take this photographic print into evidence, if you please, counsel. The photograph of Gina has been entered into the court record. Ah, I don't believe it. Guinea. In short, the accused is the only person who could possibly have killed Mr. Winniebank. I feel you, man. I don't know what he's hitting, though. I say, my lord. Do we have access to all of them? So we have a couple things here visible that are pertinent to the case. The first one is the photo of the cat on the bottom. Only one of them is there. Sheet there, the feather. This is at 1 a.m. too, so why is he up? And she definitely has the coat on. But if she shot him and there was blood, the wrong blood is on her coat. Wonder if I might put in a word at this point. Go ahead, Mr. Foreman. Took a ballot to the knee in the Battle of Maiwand, 1880, don't you know? Decorated for an all, but forced to retire from service, sadly. Chorus of metal can never outshine the exploits of chaps like us on the battlefield. Yes, Mr. Foreman, and what exactly is your point? Carried into battle after retirement, you see. The battle of daily life, if you like. And here I am now, leading this small squadron. 6 men, all good and true. And we'll all go down together, you mark my words, one and for all and all for one. The ladies and gentlemen of the jury have reached agreement, have they? Indianapolis? Damn. Are you at work or what? Or are you on vacation? Is that what we are to understand? Well, Mr. Foreman, is that correct? In a manner of speaking, yes. That is the Gyarados Squadron's position, sir. What? No. It's too soon to make a judgment here. Status report of the court, men, on the double. His lordship insists on promptitude at all times, and that goes for making decisions, too. I think you'll find the truth as clear as day now. I could reach out and touch it. I feel bad about the lag, my friend. It's good that you are okay, at least. It would have left, didn't there? I just wouldn't, but honestly, I can't actually remember. My god, I hope he's not working on Sholmes. Situation clear? Stop. No room for doubt. Stop. Truth now undeniable. Stop. What's with the mouse? I am very sorry for my brothers. They are unlucky. Very well. I now call upon each member of the jury to state his or her leaning in this matter. Announce your considered verdicts to the court.
Guilty.
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 Woo! It does indeed appear that the jury is unanimous on its leaning already. That photograph. It must be the definitive evidence that Gregson mentioned. But Ginny didn't shoot him. No, of course not. My lord, the defense wishes to assert its right to a summation examination. Very well, the court grants permission. So we refuse to admit defeat again. How unsurprising. We shall proceed immediately with the summation examination. Mr. Foreman and all the members of the jury ready. Absolutely, sir. Always ready for action, my chaps. Very good. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you will now explain on what grounds you have determined the defendant of being guilty. Judicial findings. All the evidence clearly points to the finger of guilt of this young pickpocket Tian. As a housemaid, I should like to see all filthy eyesores promptly and rigorously eliminated. I think you'll find that if you look at the photograph in stereo, the truth will just pop out. If I have left it in there, I should think there will be repercussions by now. Mind made up. Stop. Global radio transmission of verdict to follow. Stop. In Motherland, we say never judge by clothes, judge by a head. I'm convinced brothers are innocent. Why is he so convinced that they're innocent? The circumstances of the crime and the evidence do indeed implicate the defendant rather comprehensively. The storeroom locked from the inside, in which the victim and the accused were discovered alone, and in the accused's hand, the fatal revolver, the firing of which had been heard by the witnesses. Not to mention this print. Take from a chap who's seen the action on the battlefield. The young girl's on the verge of pulling the bally trigger. No, she's not. Thanks a lot, Mr. Sholmes. Oh dear, Hurley cameras. We're supposed to help, not hinder. I'm afraid I think you'll have an uphill struggle ahead of you. But Gina didn't shoot Mr. Windybank. Which means there's more to this situation than we've yet to see. Agreed. You have the floor, counsel. Proceed with the summation examination.
Hold it!
You're Mr. Natsume's landlord, Mr. Garadeb, aren't you? We were able to stop meeting like this. Ah, you're the lawyer chap. Well, there's a turn-up for the books. Yes, rather turbulent time we had back then. Some extraordinary events took place at your house, that's for sure. Luckily, Mr. Sholmes and I were able to get to the bottom of it all. I think we did rather a lot for you, didn't we? I mean, obviously. I wouldn't be suggesting that, therefore, you should change your leaning as to not guilty or anything. Huh. Can't be denied, I suppose. The curse of the Garadeb's house was the talk of the town after that business. Lodgers moved out, and I couldn't get a bally soul to take up the tenancies. Oh. Haven't had the heart to break the news to Joan yet. Bad enough that the old girl's clapped up. Yes, can't be denied. You did do a rather lot, but not for us, that's for dashed certain. I suppose not. Course. There can be no suggestion of that being the reason I'm leaning towards guilty here, obviously. Obviously. But honestly, I really wish you'd pay more attention to the trial, and less to juror number 2.
Hold it!
Polishing the bench, I see. Again. A maid's work is never done, not a blemish must remain. What exactly do you mean by filthy eyesores? On my way to market for his lordship, I have to pass through the East End. The place is full of beggars, pickpursers, and crossmen, the scum of the earth. A little harsh, perhaps. Let me be plain. If it were up to me, all those backslubs would be made spick and span of eradicated. Oh, fuck. At least we have people like that great detective working to achieve these important goals. You're referring to Mr. Herlock Sholmes. That's right. I like to keep abreast of the exploits by reading Rance magazine in between my duties. He does wonders cleaning up London streets. In my opinion, he should be declared an honorary maid of the capital. Mr. Sholmes, a maid. It is really quite unforgivable. Gutter scum having the audacity to shoot our very greatest detective. Minor detail, it was the 2 brothers in the stand who shot Mr. Sholmes, not the defendant. A minor detail indeed, they're all gutter scum as far as I'm concerned. Well, it just might be an idea to get our facts straight anyway. Yes, all right. I shall amend thy statement.
Hold it!
Please tell me you're not Valentin Bolshevik, the Russian revolutionary. Revolutionary? Oh, he is too! Duh, I believe there's such a rumor. It's just a rumor. As you see, I have unfortunate appearance. It looks like I look like vicious criminal. Your words, not mine. Just want to point that out. People call me revolutionary, murderer, autocrat. And which glove fits? Good day, I am visiting London for sightseeing. I would like to take bus to Crystal Tower, please. Right, that didn't sound staged at all. You'll forgive me for having my doubts. To be treated like vicious criminal at the time, it is very painful and people do not realize. So I have much sympathies for these brothers. People say they are criminals only because of how they look. The Skulkin brothers. Da, maybe they went inside pawnbroker's shop. But they have done nothing wrong, that is all I want to say. The Skulkin brothers did nothing wrong that night. Alright, well, first of all, that's one not so little misunderstanding I'll need to clear up straight away. Tell me something, Iris. What is it, Bruno? The jurors are chosen at random from the inhabitants of London town, are they? Yes, it's amazing, isn't it? In that case, how is it that there's Russian tourists sitting among them who looks for all the world like a revolutionary? I wish I knew. If I can't change the minds of more than half of these 6 jurors, the trial will be over. But we know that Guinea would never shoot anyone. Yes, so we need to find contradictions in what these jurors are saying and pit them against each other. I must be ready to go with whatever lengths I have to convince them of Gina's innocence.
Objection.
These 2 statements clearly contradict each other. Good lord. Counsel, explain yourself. Oh my statement. Contradictory? Contradict. C-O-N. Juror number 6, you've got the wrong end of the stick. I do not have a stick. I have a mouse. As a juror number 2 said earlier, when the Skulkin brothers fled the scene of the night in question, they fired a shot from the revolver. Yes, as they shot poor Mr. Sholmes in the abdomen, I understand. Surely you're not going to tell the court now that you didn't hear. Abdomen. A-B-D. Sir. Sorry, my English is still learning. You are telling the court you didn't hear. Forgive me, I did not hear. Here's the word. Abdomen. Part of the person's body containing stomach and other vital organs. If this is what you mean, you should stay in plain English. I am Russian, not native speaker. Who thought it was a good idea to let this man be on the jury again? So, you are telling me these brothers who look like criminals were lying. They said before we never done nothing, but truth is they shot the detective. Da, this is double negative. Yes, that's exactly right. Oh no, don't kill the mouse! Lying is wrong, especially when lie is said by a person who looks like criminal. Coming from you, that seems surprisingly prejudiced. This means, when they said we never took nothing, maybe it was also a big fat lie. Is this true? Well, according to the police report, no stolen goods were found, so... Enough, I trust no one now. It's not the mouse's fault, though, sir. I must see with own eyes. I must investigate crime scene myself. I'm afraid that won't be Yes, it is, Bruno. Easily. Sorry? With the prints of the Hurley red-handed recorder. If you compare the print that pictures Guinea and the next print from the half hour later, you'll be able to see straight away if anything was taken or not. Cooey, Miss Prosecutor. Tut. Calling on the prosecution in the middle of a summation examination of all times. The print showing the accused threatening the victim after she broke the shop is this one. Following this, the victim and the accused moved into the storeroom. Meanwhile, the Skulkin brothers entered the shop and summarily heard the fatal gunshot ring out. Sadly, none of these events were captured on film. This is the print produced by the camera half an hour later after the brothers' fight. So this was taken after Hurley was shot then. As far as I can tell, nothing has been taken. This does seem to be the case. I can't notice anything that's obviously missing in the second print. So, the brothers who look like criminals told only one lie. They shot man, but they stole nothing. It would seem so, yes. Good. No, not good. You were right. I did not understand the situation. Now I know brothers have lied. I think it's very important to continue with trial. Yay, well done, Runo. The balance is shifting. Well, it's a start, I suppose. But there must be more in what the jurors are saying that I can use to expose the truth. And if I can't do that, we just might turn the situation in our favor still. Thank you, counsel. Continue with the summation examination. And kindly hand that new photographic print to the bailiff to be filed as evidence. The post-shooting photograph has been entered into the court record. Another print in the court record. I wonder if we can make use of that. We need to see if anything was moved. The lamp is the only big difference here. So we have a broken lamp in the events. In Lake Eliza... Okay, let's go back. Try to find the look at the photograph in stereo, the truth will pop out. What do you mean, look at the photograph in stereo? Sorry, what? Don't you know? If you look at the photographic print normally, it looks as though the pickpocket girl is about to shoot the victim, obviously. But there's no indication the defendant ever fired the gun. Am I saying that if you look at the same print in stereo, it could reveal all sorts of new information? By any chance, are you a fan of stereoscopes? Oh, how did you know? Let's call it a lucky guess. Never gets old seeing the two prints merge into one before your eyes. It's extraordinary, it's captivating, it's the height of modernity. Of course. Oh yes, I think you'll find that the stereoscope here is to stay, giving us new perspectives than we could only dream of before. It's the greatest invention the world has ever seen. Wait till he finds about VR a couple hundred years later. If only it could give us a new perspective on this case, I might agree with you. Well, a couple decades later. Give or take some more. If I have left it in there, I think there should be repulsions by now. What exactly have you become muttering about all this time, sir? You keep talking about having left something somewhere, or something like that. Ah, so sorry. As you can probably tell, I'm a surgeon. Surgeon, that totally passed me by. Of course, people conducting surgery in this contrary aren't supposed to consider to be doctors, oh no. Even though me and my kind are the forefront of medical science, the real brains in the field. So what is it that you think you've left behind? Ah, well, that's a little embarrassing to be honest. You see, I was operating on someone yesterday. Standard thing, went in through the abdomen. But when I finished the procedure, I couldn't find my scalpel anywhere. Okay. What did he? Surely not. Exactly, sure you're not. You say yourself, don't you? Worrying, isn't it? That's what's been troubling me this whole time. Could I really have left my scalpel inside the fellow's belly? No, of course I couldn't. So, there you have it. Like I said, a little embarrassing, really. That's one way of putting it. The other is manslaughter. That's exactly my concern, and seeing this case appears to be all but sewn up. I need to focus on trying to remember exactly what I've sewn up elsewhere. Now, I'm sure I made sure everything was back as it should be. Well, as sure as you can be without being sure. I'm sure you need to be more sure.
Hold it!
Sorry, radio transmission. What do you mean? Are you from the Far East? Stop. Yes, from the Empire of Japan. All communication with Far Eastern nations used to take place by mail. Royal Mail steamers take more than a month to complete the journey. But now we have the electric telegram, so we're sending messages using electric signals. Thousands of miles cables have been laid along the ocean beds, connecting the entire world. Thousands of miles of cable on the ocean bed. Makes my head hurt just thinking about it. You are well informed, young lady. Heh. But cables will soon become a thing of the past. And just when I was starting to catch up, radio transmission is the future. Stop. Messages carried over airwaves. The four corners of the globe. Stop. Excitement growing. Stop. Atmospheric electrical. Stop. Right. Try not to wear out your fingers. Era of wireless telegraphy. Stop. Driving technological revolution. Stop. People say inventions like the stereoscopes are the height of technology. What utter piffle! I can't understand it. I really can't. They're just silly toys.
Excuse me.
Juror number 3. Sorry to interrupt when you're obviously fuming, but... What? Do you perhaps something to say about juror number 5's last remark? As if I couldn't guess. Oh, you bet I do. Say that again. Go on. I dare you. Goodness, are you talking to me? I think you just might be yes. You think stereoscopes are just toys, do you, huh? Absolutely, I mean, really. A machine is to view photographs in 3 dimensions. Why on earth would you not just use your eyes to look at the world all around you? It's all 3-dimensional. What a great way to appease the man. No, I'm sorry, stereoscopes are no practical use at all. You just don't know. Pardon. I think you'll find that viewing a photograph through a stereoscope can unlock all sorts of possibilities. I'm obviously going to have to demonstrate. What sort of possibilities? Well, take a crime scene, for example. If you had a pair of photographs from a crime scene that you could view through a stereoscope, it could reveal hidden clues you never noticed before. What? Have you got any, Runo? Any prints we could look at with stereoscope? Absolutely. How about this print here? It should do the trick, I think.
Take that!
Alright then, juror number 3. Are you saying you can do this with any 2 suitable photographic prints? Of course I can. Very well then, I'd like you to demonstrate. I'd be delighted to. Just give me one more print and I'll amaze you all.
Take that!
Alright, these 2 prints were both taken in the same camera when you make the night question. Yes, I see. Tell me, Mr. Lawyer. Do you know how stereographic images work? Do you understand the principle? Well, I think so. But I did have a lesson only yesterday. The left and the right eye images need to be the same, only with a slight shift in positions of some objects. Then where your brain merges the 2 images together inside your head, it notices the shift, as if it were depth. Yes, exactly. It's that small shift between certain objects to 2 pictures that's really important. So what happens if you use 2 photographs like that are exactly the same then? No, obviously that wouldn't work at all. Not for seeing the scene 3-dimensionally anyway. Oh! Of course, now I see. I think the young girl has discovered the secret. I have. She looked at us cross-eyed. Can you even cross your eyes before you tell me? Have another look at these 2 pictures from Hurley's camera, Runo. Go on. Can you see there's a really obvious difference between them? Of course there is. There are 2 people in the first, no people in the second. Well, yes, you can see that straight away. But now, try looking at the pictures in 3 dimensions. Alright, I'll give it a go. So to start with, you have to cross your eyes and try to make the 2 pictures overlap exactly. Which I can't fucking do. Let's see if by crossing my eyes I can make the quill and the pen's picture overlap. Wait. Well, did you manage to see it properly, Runo? Yeah, I saw it. Ah, what's going on with these two pictures? Some of the things on the counter just kind of jump out. The judge in the one frame. That's it, you see? That's the other amazing power of stereoscopes. Other amazing power. Is someone going to explain this? Black magic, eh? Why did Zeus and some of the things on the counter seem to jump at you like that? I think you'll find that if you consider the basic principle of the stereoscope, you'll answer your own question. Basic principles of the stereoscope. As I said before, if you try to look at two identical pictures using a stereoscope, it won't work at all. It's a slight shift in the positions of certain objects that lets you see pictures three-dimensionally. In other words, I can't fucking do it! Even though the first glance of the objects in the counter haven't moved at all between the two pictures. This shows that actually, there must have been a slight shift in their positions. Yes, there must have been. Now hold fire there, sir. Got a reasonable grasp of this whole cross-eyed business now, I'd say. But why the devil did the shift between the two prints exist in the first place? Well, what's the answer, fellow? Come on, you're the cross-eyed master. No, I'm not. What, me? I haven't the first idea. You know, Runo, it's quite simple. It is. Just think it through step by step. The first photograph was taken at 1. Then, 30 minutes later, the second photograph was taken. But the position of some items in the counter appears to have shifted slightly in the interim. So that means sometime in the half-hour interval, someone must have tampered with things on the counter. Zookers. Someone tampered. New information. Stop. Not mentioned in testimony so far. Stop. Yes. We've had to go around in circles a little here, it seems. But I'm starting to see what I should be aiming at in this summation examination now. Ladies and gentlemen, the question now is clear. We know that the items on the countertop were moved, but by whom? Are you suggesting you might know? Of course. I can tell you right now who is responsible for almost the imperceptible shift in the items on the counter.
Take that!
It was the witnesses currently on the stand, the Skulkin brothers. Wait, this does not agree with what brothers said in testimony before. They said they did not even have time to pull dukes from Lucy Locket. My phrasebook says dukes is the meaning of hands, and Lucy Locket's the meaning of pockets. But this, another lie? Is that what you're saying? Yes, I'm afraid so. Now hold on there a minute, you can't be sure of that. I quite agree. The accused is a common pick purse after all. It's perfectly possible that she went through things on the desk to see what she might steal. I think that's unlikely. And why exactly? As you can see from this photographic print, the defendant was pointing a gun at the victim. It would seem, as my learned friend indicated, that she was coercing Mr. Windibank to open the storeroom door. In other words, Miss Lestrade's interest lay within the storeroom, not in the main shop. Giving her no reason to touch anything on the counter. All of which points to one thing. The Skulkin brothers have admitted key facts in their testimony. But the accused is a pick purse. Common gutter trash. Why look further for the wrongdoer here? Because the Skulkin brothers are thieves, madame. No better, in fact worse, than a pick purse. I believe that these brothers were looking for something on the victim's counter that night. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, if you would condemn the defendant on the grounds that she's a pickpocket, would it not at least be right and proper to be thoroughly scrutinized testimony given against her by two thieves? Well said. You know, this is an actual technique in actual court. That if you do it properly, you're essentially poking holes in the testimony of the witness, making their testimony unreliable. I, for one, like to hear more than the Shetty pair. He used his head! Amazing. Can you all see now? I think you'll find stereoscopes aren't playthings. You've seen their extraordinary potential firsthand. Wholeheartedly agree. Stop. Must purchase after trial. Stop. Will return via Reagent Street. Stop. Well, it would seem this trial is yet to run its course. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury have declared their inclination to the mighty scales of justice. I hereby call the summation examination to conclusion with the balance altered in the defendant's favor. To lean to guilty, for lean to not guilty. Accordingly, the jury without consensus. And I order that trial to continue. Yay, we're done. Oh, by the way. What? You should hold on to this, Runo. You never know when it might come in useful. Twice in one trial would be unusual, surely. But alright. The stereoscope has been entered in the court record. Lord Van Zeeks, you will instruct the witnesses that the court demands additional testimony from them. You have to pop your two prints in here to start with, and then when you look through the eyepieces, you see the image in 3 dimensions. The important thing to get right is the position of the two prints. I don't get who came up with the idea of stereoscope, but it's really quite fascinating. I'm sure it won't spoil the bouquet to do so, my lord. I won myself another chance to probe that pair about their activities that night at least. And I won't stop probing them until I've proven that Gina is innocent. Order, please. Let us resume proceedings. Witnesses, you will now retake the stand. I'd be sweating too, guys. You're about to go to jail anyways. I presume you heard the defense counsel summation examination. Oh, yeah, Governor. I did, Gov. I did. Mr. and Mr. Skulkin. Cor, blimey. This is going to be hard work. Earlier in this trial, you gave the following testimony about your actions after you entered Windybanks. Well, it was Bedlam as soon as, weren't it? It was, Nash, it was. Didn't even have time to pull me dukes out of Lucy lockets. However, that was a lie. You brothers, Cor, blimey, on the night in question, you rifled through the items on the victim's counter. We've never done nothing of the sort. How'd you figure that out? You dumbasses. You will now give formal testimony once again. You will tell the court precisely what happened on the night in question. And this time, you will tell the truth. Each lie that passes your lips serves to increase the severity of your punishment. And that, gentlemen, may deal a crushing blow to your chances ever seeing the light of day again. A thought worth pondering, perhaps. Say no more, Gov, we'll tell you. We'll blab, we'll squeak, we'll peach. Alright, we did knock a few things over, but we weren't rifling for nothing. It was when we heard a gunshot, see, made us both jump, and all that stuff went flying. What stuff? Lummy, didn't all give me a fright. We was thinking the shooter would come out of the door and get us next. We stuck everything back where we found it and scampered straight out into the black. We couldn't have shot the pawnbroker, see? We never even had a chance, did we? So you admit to the defense's accusation. You did indeed ransack Mr. Windybake's countertop on the night in question. Not ransack, Governor? No, no. That's right, Nash. That's right. It's more like we tidied up, yeah. Sorry. By their own admission, these brothers entered the pawnbrokery under dubious circumstances. However, they panicked and fled on hearing the gunshot, having first made good of their mess. The way you say it, we hardly sound like roughs at all. We don't, Nash. We don't. Can make it sound a bit more cutthroat. It can't just be coincidence that these two men showed up at Windybanks that night. There's more to their testimony than meets the eye. I'm sure of it. Illegal entry, the whole truth. Alright, we did knock a few things over, but we weren't ruffling to nothing. What stuff? If that's the case, then why didn't you testify to that effect in the first place? Well, you know, we ain't exactly squeaky clean, are we? We ain't, Nash, we ain't. We admitted something like that, people would think we was up to no good. Well, said Ringo Mio China, we only land ourselves in even more trouble. And in fact, now, as a result of lying in your previous testimony. That's exactly what you've done. Landed yourselves in even more trouble. That's rotten luck. Says the rotten apple eater. Witnesses, explain your actions to the court. Why did you ransack the victim's counter? We never ransacked nothing. Right, Nash, right. More like we tidied the place up. He's not happy. Sorry. It was when we heard the gunshots he made us both jump and all that stuff went flying. What stuff? So what you're saying is, the sound of the gunshot shocked you so much you knocked all those things off the counter. Well, it shocked one of us that much, yeah? Bag of nerves need to learn to keep his shirt on. Look at what's loud, alright? Blimey, my granny would wake up at that thing. Big brother here screamed like a bloomin' baby and fell over the counter. Knocked over a load of books, candlestick, and some skull or whatnot. That got tangled up in some marionette, which knocked over a picture frame, which knocked over the scales on the floor. You've really mastered working quietly, then. What a racket, my granny would have been scared back into her grave and shouted like that. So in short, the gunshot took you by surprise. And then some. It means we was quiet as a mouse and a sudden bam.
Excuse me.
Inspector Gregson, do you have something to add? Like I keep saying, I don't appreciate being lumped in with these scoundrels. No, something to add about their testimony. You seem to react just now, what Mr. Skulkin said. Did it make you think of something? It's probably nothing, of course. I wouldn't even bother to mention it, only... Well, the fact is, cases don't get solved if you ignore the little details. How do you just tell us what's on your mind? As you know, we brought these fellas into the yard for questioning last night, and the statement they gave them told a slightly different story than what they were saying now. Did it? You claimed you heard the victim shout something out before the gunshot. Might have, Gov, might have, does ring a bell, now you mention it. Granted, it's only a minor detail, but still. I can't help feeling like perhaps you've been a bit sloppy with your testimony here, fellas. If I discover the witness's testimony has been any more sloppy than it has hitherto proven to be, I shall be forced to bring the very harshest punishment to bear against them. Easy, easy. We'll get it right this time. That's it, yep. It's all coming back to me now. Then speak. Supplement your testimony with whatever details miraculously return to your questionable minds. Sirs. Right you are. Right you are, Gov. Just before the gunshot, we heard a voice yelling out, "Give me that gun."
Hold it.
How? So, in fact, you heard the voice and the gunshot almost simultaneously. We did, Gov, we did. Although, I suppose if you're being honest, we heard a kind of wavering voice before yelling all. If you don't want to get shot, give me that gun. Bam. That makes no sense. Kind of the thing. A career in acting tragically missed. And where were the voices coming from? Could you tell? course we could. From the other side of that door behind the counter was. From the storeroom where the victim was found dead. And the voice you heard, it was that of the victim, Mr. Windybank? On my granny's life, of course it was. On the granny's life, of course it was. So that would mean that you both knew Mr. Windybank at the sound of his voice. So that would mean what? What, Nash, what? Any ideas? Yes, Counsel, indeed it would. No, we didn't know the geezer. I was supposed to deny that bloke all the fancy clever's giving us the evil eye. If you value your lives, you will ensure your testimony is accurate and true. On me granny's life, it is. Oh, on his granny's life, it must be. It's a good job his granny's dead. Holy frick. That was pretty rank, actually. Summarize then immediately after hearing the voice of the victim, you then hear the gunshot, causing you to stumble and upset the items on the counter, scattering them over the shop floor. You make it sound like we're clumsy. Don't forget we tied it up after that, good little boys. Anyway, the way I see it.
Hold it!
That's not possible. You're saying Mr. Windybank had a gun in his hands. Oh yeah, I bet that was a sight, eh? Them two waving them guns at each other must have been pretty heated. I mean, just before he shouted out, we heard the geezer say, "If y'all don't want to get shot." Didn't really sound like it meant to mind, more of an empty threat, you could say. Mr. Windybank was known to keep a revolver in his shop counter at all times. People had to protect the articles in his keeping. He'd be ready to put a bullet in someone's head if required. That someone being himself, of course. Good grief, extraordinary devotion indeed, if he alarmingly misguided. Well, it certainly sounded like it was ready to pull the trigger the other night. Only the person was going to shoot beat him to it. Cooked his gone proper. Bet he wished to squeeze the trigger instead of wasting time shouting, "Give me that gun." And it was directly after those words that you heard the gunshot. It was more or less at the same time, Gov. Give me that gun. Bam. Kind of thing. Yes, a career in acting, very tragically missed. Then we heard the sound of someone hitting the deck. Before everything went dead quiet. After that, we done slap job and tidy the place up. That makes no sense.
Objection!
He's not holding the gun. You're saying that on the night in question, the victim, Mr. Windybank, was wielding a gun. Is that correct? That's it, Gov. You got the picture. Yes, Nash, yes, no question. And yet the photographic evidence from the time of the incident clearly shows that Mr. Windybank was not in possession of the firearm of any description.
Objection!
You surprise me. Does the defense really intend to highlight evidence that compromises the position of the accused even more? Furthermore, the defense has failed to establish that the photographic print presented was taken a suitably short time prior to the victim's death. Your chronologically is severely lacking, Counsel. Yeah, that's right. Too right, Nash, too right. That old geezer could have been about to turn the table on the girl, eh? Hardly likely. No, I'm afraid this won't stand as conclusive evidence. Ugh. Continue with the cross-examination, Counsel. And heed my earlier warning, witnesses. Skulkin's never skulkin'.
Hold it!
So, you didn't try to open the storeroom door, then? Not in your life. It went deathly quiet after that, it did. Put the wind right up at me, but anyway, the door was locked, weren't it? No way it was opening. Yes, of course. It was locked from the inside, so we've been led to believe. It was, Gov, from the inside. Right, so we had no way of knowing what was going on there, did we? Unless there was some other way to get a view of the inside of the storeroom. Like through the keyhole or a spy hole, perhaps. Don't ring no bells, no light, no bells. We had cut and run before we noticed anything like that. We're still cutting our teeth in the game, see? But one day... we really cut the mustard. please, cut it out. But as we know, behind the door was the victim's lifeless body, with the accused not 2 feet away. Yes, unfortunately. Gina was in there, unconscious, with the gun in her hand. To confirm, would it be correct to say that neither of you set foot inside the storeroom? That's right, Gov, that's right. Couldn't have if I wanted to. We stuck everything back where we found it and scampered straight into the black.
Hold it!
Yes, whereupon you fired a shot of your own gun at Mr. Sherlock Holmes. Oh, yeah, it was a bit hasty there. We was, Nash, we was. Truth be told, I was already shaking like a leaf when your lot turned up. If you're shaking like a leaf, don't pull a loaded gun in your hand. Good advice, miss. Good advice. Truth be told, me mind went totally blank. Before your mind goes totally blank, make sure you don't have a loaded gun in your hand. Mental note made, miss. After that, we logged it down the street, but apparently we looked dodgy to the coppers on Summit, so they clapped the derbies on us like a winkin'. And after you'd been handcuffed, the police found this revolver in your possession. Well, yeah. But listen, that proves it, doesn't it? We couldn't have shot the pawnbroker, see? We never even had a chance, did we?
Hold it!
And why should we believe that? What? Well, because it's true, innit? The place was totally empty when we went in. At that time, the victim was already in the storeroom, having been forced to open the door by the accused who had a gun on his head. In other words, the night in question, these 2 witnesses never even laid eyes on the proprietor of the pawnbrokery, Mr. Windybank. Correct. You got it, mister. Down to a T. So the Skulkin brothers never actually encountered Mr. Windybank. Is that really true, I wonder? That's it? That's the full extent of their testimony? What is it, Bruno? You look very fierce. I could pour you some herbal tea if you're tired. Oh, thank you, but I'm fine. Being such a logical thinker, you'll probably laugh. But I feel as though these brothers are still hiding something. Something important. It is nothing more than a feeling, though. I've no proof to support it. Well, feelings can be very logical at times. Sorry? People's expressions, the movement of their eyes, the words they choose. You can take all that in and your brain will quietly analyze it to come up with a feeling like you described. You've concluded that there's something suspicious about a testimony without knowing why, that's all. I think you should trust your instincts. Iris, thank you. Sometimes I think if she's 10 years old, I must be 5. Robert perishes and pick up a sponger. How awful for Guinea, I mean. But tomorrow's headline will be Discharged Diver is Dauntless Do-Gooder, right? Yes, something like that, if possible. If possible, I'd like to go even bigger. Bigger? How? Proud pickpocket protects planets post-trial, perhaps. Protects planets? Oh, I can't wait for tomorrow now. It's going to be so great. There's a sensational story lower down the front page as well. Look. Ministry Mole. Classified secrets may have been leaked overseas from Ministry of Justice. For a 10-year-old. Iris certainly has her finger on the pulse of the world news. It's about secret communication between Great Britain and its allies. Apparently they're being intercepted by hostile nations. Communications are being intercepted, but how would somebody be doing that? That's the question, isn't it? I've come up with 3 different possible methods so far. Are you looking for a new career, Reno? No, of course not. I wonder. Perhaps this is what Lord Strongheart was talking about yesterday. Yes, it could be, and it could explain why he was Gregsy, running from pillar to post at the moment. I'm trying to find the direction that I want to go with this.
Objection!
I was thinking that wouldn't work. It has something to do with the instant death. We were thinking the shooter come out the door and get us next. We stuck everything back where we found it and scarpered straight out into the black.
Hold it!
And why should we believe that? What? Well, because it's true, ain't it? Place is totally empty when anyone went in.
Objection.
That didn't work. All right.